Today we're exploring the unique and fascinating world of presidential sandwich preferences. Every U.S. president has had their own favorite foods, but sandwiches in particular have been a staple in the White House. Number 1. Franklin D. Roosevelt's grilled cheese. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, serving as the 32nd President of the United States, is often remembered for his leadership during the Great Depression, a time of profound economic struggle. Among the many aspects of his presidency, Roosevelt's preference for grilled cheese sandwiches stands out as both a personal comfort and a symbol of the era. This simple yet beloved sandwich resonated with the American public and provided more than just nourishment. It was a reflection of the national spirit during tough times. The grilled cheese sandwich became a quintessential Depression-era meal due to its affordability and simplicity. At a time when many Americans were struggling to make ends meet, this sandwich offered a nutritious and inexpensive option. Bread and cheese were staples that most families could afford, even when other food items were scarce. The preparation was straightforward, requiring only basic cooking skills and minimal ingredients, which made it accessible to people of all backgrounds. During the Great Depression, every penny counted, and meals that could stretch a household budget while providing comfort were highly valued. Roosevelt's choice of a grilled cheese sandwich also spoke to his understanding of the common American experience during his presidency. His personal enjoyment of such a humble meal was often interpreted as a political statement. It helped bridge the gap between the White House and the everyday struggles of the American people. As a president, Roosevelt was seen as a man of the people, and his preference for a meal that many Americans were already consuming out of necessity helped to cement this image. It demonstrated his empathy and solidarity with those facing the harsh realities of the economic downturn. Furthermore, the grilled cheese sandwich's popularity soared during Roosevelt's time in office, partly due to its association with him. This period saw many households adopting this meal not just for its practicality, but also as a way of feeling connected to the president. In the 1930s and 1940s, food rationing became a norm, and recipes that used fewer ingredients and required less preparation became increasingly favored. The grilled cheese sandwich fit perfectly into this culinary trend. It became a cultural icon of resilience, embodying the spirit of making do with what you have. Families found creative ways to enhance this basic dish with whatever was available, adding tomatoes or ham if they were lucky enough to have them. In addition to being a symbol of economic frugality, the grilled cheese sandwich also provided a psychological comfort. During periods of instability and uncertainty, people often turned to food for solace. The warmth of melted cheese between slices of toasted bread offered a simple pleasure that provided emotional relief during a time when happiness was in short supply. For many, the grilled cheese sandwich became synonymous with comfort food, something familiar and reassuring in a world that had become unpredictable and often harsh. Roosevelt's fondness for this sandwich extended beyond mere convenience or taste. It also tied into his broader philosophy of keeping morale high. He understood the power of symbolism and how small acts could foster a sense of community and hope. By frequently enjoying grilled cheese sandwiches, Roosevelt was able to subtly communicate a message of unity and perseverance to the American people. It was a reminder that even in the highest office in the land, the same simple meals that nourished ordinary citizens were also being enjoyed by their leader. The grilled cheese sandwich also reflected broader culinary trends that were developing in the United States during the Great Depression. As the economic crisis deepened, there was a growing emphasis on home cooking and thrift. Cookbooks of the era, like the Good Housekeeping Cookbook, featured numerous simple and economical recipes, with the grilled cheese sandwich often making an appearance. This emphasis on simplicity, practicality, and cost-effectiveness defined American cooking during this period, shaping the nation's culinary habits for years to come. Thus, the grilled cheese sandwich during Franklin Delano Roosevelt's presidency was far more than just a meal. It was a symbol of the resilience, practicality, and enduring spirit of the American people. It demonstrated how something as simple as a sandwich could carry profound meaning, reflecting both the economic hardships and the hope for better times ahead. Roosevelt's enjoyment of this humble dish helped to humanize him, connecting him to the everyday experiences of the citizens he led through some of the nation's most challenging years. Number 2. Harry Truman's egg salad sandwich. Harry Truman, the 33rd President of the United States, led the country through a period of profound change and recovery after World War II. His preference for the humble egg salad sandwich was more than a mere personal taste. It was a reflection of the broader societal values and economic realities of the time. The egg salad sandwich, made simply from boiled eggs, mayonnaise, and a few seasonings, became a staple in American households due to its affordability and ease of preparation, mirroring the frugality that was prevalent in the post-war era. During Truman's presidency, the United States was transitioning from wartime scarcity to peacetime abundance. However, many Americans continued to practice economic caution, and the egg salad sandwich perfectly suited this mindset. Eggs were relatively inexpensive and widely available, making them an ideal protein source for families looking to stretch their food budgets. The simplicity of the egg salad sandwich meant that it could be made quickly and with minimal ingredients, aligning with the post-war ethos of resourcefulness and practicality. Truman's personal background also played a significant role in his food preferences. Coming from a modest upbringing in Missouri, Truman was known for his down-to-earth nature and straightforward approach to life. His choice of an egg salad sandwich resonated with his image as a no-nonsense leader who understood the struggles of the average American. This sandwich, often viewed as an everyday food, reinforced Truman's connection to the common people and his reputation as a president who favored simplicity and accessibility over luxury. Moreover, the egg salad sandwich's popularity in the post-war period was part of a larger trend of simple, home-cooked meals becoming the norm. As women who had worked during the war returned to their domestic roles, there was a renewed focus on home economics and efficient meal preparation. The egg salad sandwich fit neatly into this cultural shift, offering a quick, nutritious, and economical option that could be easily adapted with additional ingredients like pickles or celery. Depending on what was on hand, the sandwich also represented a sense of continuity and comfort in a rapidly changing world. As the country faced new challenges such as the Cold War and shifting domestic policies, the familiar taste of an egg salad sandwich provided a small but meaningful sense of stability. Truman's choice to enjoy such a meal highlighted how food could serve as a touchstone for tradition and normalcy in times of upheaval. In addition, the egg salad sandwich was not just a reflection of economic frugality, but also a symbol of American ingenuity. Families often found creative ways to elevate the basic recipe, adding spices, herbs, or even other leftovers to enhance flavor while still keeping costs low. This adaptability made the egg salad sandwich a versatile dish that could be tailored to individual tastes and available resources, further cementing its place in American culinary history. Harry Truman's affinity for the egg salad sandwich thus went beyond personal preference. It was a statement about the values of the time, simplicity, frugality, and a return to traditional home life. As the nation worked to redefine itself in the post-war world, Truman's choice of such a modest meal served as a reminder of the enduring American spirit of resilience and practicality. Number 3. Dwight David Eisenhower's roast beef sandwich. Dwight David Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States, had a deep appreciation for traditional American cuisine, and his choice of a roast beef sandwich as a favorite food highlighted his connection to the values of the 1950s. This period was characterized by economic growth, suburban expansion, and a general sense of optimism. The roast beef sandwich, with its generous portions and rich flavors, was a perfect representation of the era's focus on prosperity and the American dream. In the post-war years, there was a cultural shift toward heartier and more indulgent meals, a stark contrast to the austerity experienced during the Great Depression and World War II. The roast beef sandwich became a symbol of this newfound prosperity, reflecting the increased availability of meat and other luxury foods that were previously rationed. Eisenhower's fondness for the roast beef sandwich aligned with the era's emphasis on traditional values and domestic comfort. It was a time when families gathered around the dinner table, and meals were not just about nourishment, but also about celebrating abundance. Eisenhower's leadership during this period of economic stability and growth further reinforced the symbolic value of his preferred sandwich. The roast beef sandwich, often served on freshly baked bread with accompaniments like horseradish or mustard, embodied the robust and straightforward nature that many associated with Eisenhower himself. As a former general of the Army, Eisenhower was known for his no-nonsense approach and strong leadership. Similarly, the roast beef sandwich, with its simple yet substantial ingredients, was a meal that reflected strength and straightforwardness. The sandwich also mirrored the culinary trends of the 1950s, which saw a rise in popularity of meat-centric meals. During this decade, there was a significant increase in meat consumption across the United States, partly due to the growth of the middle class and the suburban lifestyle. With more Americans able to afford appliances like refrigerators and ovens, the ability to store and prepare meats at home became more common. The roast beef sandwich, easy to make and deeply satisfying, became a favorite in many American households, symbolizing both convenience and comfort. Additionally, Eisenhower's preference for roast beef sandwiches can be seen as a reflection of his personal tastes and background. Raised in Kansas, Eisenhower had a fondness for hearty, simple meals that were reflective of his Midwestern roots. The roast beef sandwich, a classic American dish, was likely a nostalgic comfort for Eisenhower, reminding him of his upbringing and the values of hard work and simplicity that he carried with him throughout his life and career. The roast beef sandwich also gained popularity in the 1950s due to its association with family and communal dining. During Eisenhower's presidency, there was a strong cultural emphasis on the nuclear family and shared meals, which were seen as central to maintaining social stability and fostering community. The roast beef sandwich, often featured at picnics, potlucks, and family dinners, became a symbol of this communal spirit. Its presence at such gatherings underscored the importance of togetherness and the joy of sharing hearty, delicious food with loved ones. Furthermore, the roast beef sandwich's status as a presidential favorite added to its appeal. Eisenhower's visible enjoyment of this classic American dish helped to cement its place in the cultural zeitgeist of the 1950s. It became a menu item that was both aspirational and accessible, embodying the ideals of the American dream, where anyone could achieve prosperity and enjoy the good things in life, like a satisfying roast beef sandwich. Eisenhower's appreciation for the roast beef sandwich also reflected the broader American attitude towards food as a marker of status and success in the post-war period. As the country moved into a period of relative affluence, food choices began to reflect a celebration of this new economic reality. The roast beef sandwich, rich in flavor and hearty in substance, was an ideal choice for a nation eager to embrace its newfound prosperity and look forward to a future filled with promise. Number 4, John Fitzgerald Kennedy's lobster roll. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, is often associated with a refined sense of style and a deep connection to his New England roots, which was exemplified by his favorite food, the lobster roll. The lobster roll, a dish deeply embedded in the culture of coastal New England, consists of fresh lobster meat, usually lightly dressed with butter or mayonnaise, and served in a toasted split-top bun. Kennedy's love for the lobster roll was more than just a personal preference. It was a symbol of the sophistication and elegance that his presidency came to represent. Kennedy's preference for the lobster roll also highlighted his connection to his Massachusetts heritage. Growing up in a prominent Boston family, Kennedy was familiar with the rich maritime traditions of New England, where lobster was not only a local delicacy but also a symbol of the region's economic history and cultural identity. During the 1960s, lobster was considered a luxury food, often associated with wealth and fine dining, making it a fitting favorite for a president who embodied a youthful and modern image. The popularity of the lobster roll during Kennedy's administration also reflected broader culinary trends of the 1960s, when American cuisine was beginning to embrace regional specialties and elevate them to national prominence. The lobster roll's rise in popularity mirrored this trend, as Americans became more interested in exploring diverse flavors and regional foods. This period saw a shift from the homogenized food culture of the post-war years to a more adventurous palate, willing to celebrate unique local traditions. Kennedy's fondness for the lobster roll was indicative of this shift, aligning with a growing desire to celebrate American diversity through its cuisine. In addition to its cultural significance, the lobster roll also became a symbol of the Kennedy administration's ethos: fresh, elegant, and rooted in tradition, yet forward-looking and innovative. It was during Kennedy's presidency that the lobster roll began to gain national attention, moving beyond the confines of New England and becoming a dish celebrated across the United States. This shift was part of a larger trend where regional dishes were brought to the forefront of American dining, often seen as a reflection of the country's melting pot of cultures. Kennedy's appreciation for the lobster roll also aligned with his political image of connecting with ordinary Americans, while maintaining a certain level of sophistication. The lobster roll, while a luxurious dish, was still accessible and relatable to many, especially those in the northeastern United States. This duality made it the perfect food symbol for a president who was both an elite and a populist figure, representing a blend of exclusivity and accessibility. The lobster roll also came to symbolize the glamorous yet approachable image of the Kennedy administration. It was often featured at White House dinners and events, further promoting its status as a dish of both refinement and regional pride. Kennedy's choice to include such a dish in official menus was a deliberate effort to showcase American culinary traditions and promote regional diversity, enhancing the cultural diplomacy efforts of his administration. Furthermore, the lobster roll's preparation and presentation also reflected the Kennedy administration's focus on simplicity and elegance. The minimalistic preparation of the lobster, lightly dressed and served in a simple bun, mirrored the clean, modern aesthetic that was popular during Kennedy's time in office. This minimalist approach was seen as a departure from the more elaborate and heavy meals of previous administrations, signaling a new era of American dining that favored quality ingredients and straightforward presentation. John Fitzgerald Kennedy's affinity for the lobster roll thus captured the essence of his presidency, one that balanced tradition with modernity, simplicity with sophistication, and local pride with national identity. The lobster roll became more than just a favorite dish. It was a culinary symbol of an era marked by cultural renewal, regional celebration, and a reimagining of what American cuisine could be. Number 5. Richard Milhous Nixon's cottage cheese and ketchup. Richard Milhous Nixon, the 37th President of the United States, is often remembered for his unique and unconventional culinary preferences, one of which was his fondness for a cottage cheese and ketchup sandwich. This peculiar combination stands out not just for its unusual taste profile, but also as a reflection of Nixon's distinctive approach to diet and health during the early 1970s. At a time when Americans were becoming more conscious of their health and diet, Nixon's choice highlighted his pragmatic yet idiosyncratic personality, unafraid to deviate from traditional tastes and dietary norms. The cottage cheese and ketchup sandwich was more than just a quirky choice. It represented a convergence of Nixon's personal dietary habits and the health trends emerging in the United States during his presidency. Cottage cheese was gaining popularity as a health food due to its high protein content and low fat. It was commonly recommended in diets focused on weight loss and muscle maintenance, aligning with Nixon's own efforts to manage his health. Nixon's preference for cottage cheese underscored his interest in a diet that was high in protein but low in calories and fat, a reflection of the growing emphasis on health and fitness in the 1970s. However, the addition of ketchup to cottage cheese was an unusual twist that puzzled many. Ketchup, primarily made from tomatoes, vinegar, sugar, and spices, was not traditionally paired with dairy products. This combination may have provided a balance Nixon personally enjoyed, blending the creamy texture of cottage cheese with the tangy sweetness of ketchup. Some speculate that the addition of ketchup could have been an attempt to add flavor and moisture to the otherwise bland and slightly sour taste of cottage cheese, making it more palatable to Nixon's specific taste preferences. Nixon's dietary habits, including his preference for this sandwich, also reveal much about his personality and the era's cultural attitudes. The choice of a cottage cheese and ketchup sandwich can be seen as a symbol of Nixon's pragmatic approach to life and leadership. Known for his no-nonsense, results-oriented style, Nixon was not concerned with following culinary trends or the sophisticated tastes often associated with political elites. Instead, he chose foods that were practical, filling, and aligned with his goals of maintaining his health. The broader context of Nixon's food choice also reflects the 1970s shift towards convenience and packaged foods, which were becoming increasingly popular. Ketchup, a widely available and versatile condiment, exemplified the convenience of processed foods that defined much of the American diet at that time. Cottage cheese, too, was a convenient option, often sold in single-serving containers and marketed as a health food that could be easily incorporated into any meal. Together, these ingredients captured the spirit of an era where convenience began to meet health consciousness in the American kitchen. Moreover, Nixon's preference for such a simple yet unusual sandwich highlights a period of American culinary history where experimentation was beginning to take hold. The 1970s were a time of culinary exploration, with Americans becoming more open to trying new flavors and combinations. While the cottage cheese and ketchup combination never became a widespread trend, it did reflect a broader willingness to break away from traditional food pairings and explore unconventional tastes. This sandwich also drew attention to Nixon's personal eccentricities. As a leader, he often exhibited behaviors that were seen as unconventional or peculiar, and his food choices were no different. Nixon was known for his solitary habits, sometimes dining alone in the White House while working late into the night. His choice of a cottage cheese and ketchup sandwich might have been a quick, convenient meal that matched his need for efficiency, allowing him to focus on his work without the distraction of a more elaborate meal. The cottage cheese and ketchup sandwich, while odd to many, encapsulated several key elements of Nixon's personality and presidency: practicality, efficiency, and a willingness to go against the grain. It remains a memorable example of how personal preferences can reflect broader cultural trends and the unique character of a historical figure.